Hi, I'm Dweezil Zappa, and we're cooking with Meris. I have in front of me the Enzo X. This thing can make any kind of dish you want. It really does synthesizer things with your guitar or whatever you're gonna play through it. I wanted to find something that would let me play lead guitar and then I could react to whatever was happening inside Enzo. What I came up with was a way to have an adaptive arpeggiator, and that's why my dish today is called Adapt Arp. It starts with me playing a sound that does not have Enzo, and then I will fade it in, and you'll see what it does, all right? Have a listen. That's without the Enzo Adapt Arp preset that I made. Listen to what happens when it comes in. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can play something and then I can actually stop playing, listen to what it did, and then I can react to it and play some more. This is not something I've found in any other pedal, but it's a really cool idea because when I'm improvising, if I hear something that I just played and it has a counter melody or a counter rhythm, it might inspire the next big idea in the solo. So that's what I was trying to do with this particular dish. A little spicy, a little bit creative. All right, you wanna learn how to make it? Let's go. I'm gonna show you right here in Predator. This is the way that you can edit presets and build libraries. But this original sound that I decided to change a little bit for my use was called OG Enzo Arp. And you can find it in your own Enzo and you can start tweaking as soon as I show you the first steps in how to cook this preset. All right, double click. Now, you can see it's gonna show us that I'm in the oscillator section, and in this area and anything else that you would decide to look at, you can go to this top menu and you can go ahead and see all the things that are part of this recipe. If we are really gonna look at how it was made from the ground up, there's only 3 things that I changed. And I will kind of give you an example of why I changed them, a little bit of a history of why I thought it might be better if I operated it differently. All right, so in the oscillator section, the only thing I changed here, compared to the original OG, I decided that the level was too high. So I went from 80.5 down to 66.4. So here we go. Let's see if we can dial that in. Almost. I didn't get it quite there, but you know, close enough. The other thing that I changed, and this is the most important part, and I'll show you why, the clock in the original one, or the little delay effect and the way that the arpeggio moves, I needed it to fit with the tempo of the piece of music that I was playing against, which you will hear very soon. I decided instead of 465, 550 was the way to go. So I'm just gonna type that in and we have that all set. Now, the clock also relates to the ambience because you see it's the same thing right there. It's showing you what it's doing. So we have a little bit of an echo and we have this beats per minute feature instead of the milliseconds. It's telling you exactly what's in it, the dotted half and the mix and all that stuff. I left it pretty much as it was. So the only other thing that we really want to deal with to create this perfect balance, and that's something that you have in food, you also have it in audio, is we go to the mix. And the difference I have from the original was that the mix is at 100% for me. So I gotta go all the way up here, but then in my recipe, I want 0 dry signal. The cool thing about Enzo X is that it has more parameters than other things when it comes to reducing your dry signal. And it's because if you have modifiers or other things that have interplay with the sound, you may need to go beyond 0 all the way down, like me, to minus 100. Okay, now that we have done that, we have to look at the wet trim. It's also at 0. I'm gonna leave it there for this because I think it's gonna be fine. Let me remind you of the flavor base of the whole sound. Before Enzo is involved, I have a flanger on the left and a phaser on the right, and there's a little bit of different delay on each side. You can hear that little repeat. There's a little bit of reverb, but the sound itself it has its own flavor base right there, and I want to add to that. I want to put the cream on top of it. I'm going to show you what that is in just 1 second, but listen to this. Now, if I play that same thing, it's going to adapt to what I'm doing. I'm controlling what's happening as far as volume and how much of Enzo I want on an expression pedal, because I want to be able to react to the music, but let's say it's doing something that's going on longer than I want to be able to fade it out, and then I want to bring it back in to see what kind of thing will happen to the other rhythms in the song. Now that is exactly why I built this preset. So in just 1 second, we're going to taste the dish.
snuck iconic TV and movie-themed snippets into your live shows. You also wrote the theme song for the Ben Stiller Show, which features one of our favorite comedy heroes, Bob Odenkirk. In your opinion, what's the greatest TV theme show of all time, and what makes it work musically?
Hawaii Five-0 is great because it just gives you everything you need to know what the show is about, but it's also cleverly done. Mission Impossible, that was done so well because it was made out of Morse code and it's got odd time signatures. So I love that. But then also there was The Streets of San Francisco that had crazy horn arrangements. I like that theme songs could take a risk back in the day. And those three that I mentioned are probably ones that I would actually just listen to as a piece of music. Oh, Twilight Zone. Greatest. It's very, very good. It's made of the three things that people hate the most: the tritone, the semitone, and then just a full step apart. So those three combinations, when played all together, it infuriates people, yet it makes the best theme song.
From Alan Holdsworth to Terry Bozzio, you shared the stage with an amazing list of musicians. What's the secret ingredient that makes a collaboration feel truly magical? And can you remember a time when that chemistry took you by surprise?
So I've had a chance to play on stage and or work in the studio with lots of different people. And so the element of surprise in a live show is definitely something that the whole audience can experience and enjoy. And when it goes in a certain unexpected direction, it's really fun and exciting. I did get to perpetrate one of the greatest, it was like a personal joke, but I was able to make it work. And you mentioned Alan Holdsworth, and he was one of the participants in this perpetration on the audience. We played a show at the House of Blues in Anaheim when it still existed on Valentine's Day. Knowing what I know about the people that come to my shows, that's the worst date night possible. That is the night that you have to be a very forgiving wife or a very forgiving girlfriend to accept that as your destination for Valentine's Day. With that in mind, I decided that the best song we could play for the women, the very few women that were going to be in the audience, was that we would play I've Had the Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing. And then we played it just like the record. And then I said, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Holdsworth. He comes out and he plays a solo that purposely has nothing to do with the song. And he's just in every other key except the one that the song is in. And it was beautiful because he played for probably 6 minutes and it ruined the song in the best possible way. So that's the first one that comes to mind.
Your guitar tone feels less like a single instrument and more like a whole ensemble, very layered and expressive. How do you approach designing a tone, and how do you keep it balanced when you're playing in such a harmonically complex band?
So the tricky part about finding a tone that works for you and lets you express your ideas at the speed of thought is you have to be able to have a couple of things working. You have to have it feel right, but I ultimately like to have something that I can react to while it's happening. So if I'm modulating one side and leaving the other stable, and I use a wah pedal and it starts to do something, that triggers new ideas. The layers and the nuances that you're talking about are purposeful so that I can then take off on a new idea or explore something because I just heard it change. And when I'm playing over something that's already sophisticated or complex, it just makes more sense that you would have a layered sound that can kind of sit and change as the other stuff is going on. It is a hard balance to create because you have to figure out the way to make it feel right and express your ideas and not have it be too affected or swimming in too many effects so that you don't actually hear the immediacy of the idea that you're trying to create. And so that's where the balance comes in. Sometimes I might just do something that's very limited and has a real raw sound, but I often find myself feeling much more inspired when I have something to play off of.
Every time I've spent time with you, I've walked away with something, some new idea about sound design, gear, or playing technique. You also built that into your music boot camp that you've run in the past. Where do you think this passion for teaching and sharing knowledge comes from?
So I like to be able to learn new things at all times. I feel like that's what you're supposed to do in life. And every year I try to add more things into the knowledge box. And when it comes to music, I definitely don't know everything there is to know about music, and I would never even pretend that I did. But it's very easy for me to become inspired by things that are musical in any sense, whether it's guitar, music production. People that are good at what they do in any way is inspiring to me. So if I'm in a situation where I can learn from something or bounce an idea off somebody, then the educational side can always work both ways. So like you said, when you've been around, you feel like you walk away with things. I feel the same thing when I work with people. And, when we talked about all kinds of things in trying to help create that dynaflanger type of sound in the early days of one of my guitar rigs, you were the only one that actually had the knowledge to be able to make the device operate the way that it should. So that's the kind of thing that I love, that give and take where you find somebody that has the right knowledge and then you get to pull that information out that you want through shared ideas. Instead of a cocktail, I'm going to make a smoothie. And today, my smoothie is going to be called the Enzo. Hey, it's going to have blueberries, it's going to have honey, it's going to have ice, and it's going to have yogurt, but it's going to have the secret ingredient, ginger. Now, you must first wash it. You don't want to have dirty ginger because you cut it and then it goes right into the ginger and you don't want that on that part. This is, what would you call this? A knuckle of ginger, but not a moose knuckle. All right, here we go. I'm gonna cut off this fibrous part. Here we go. We're gonna just trim this up a little bit. I have this lovely paper cutting board that is doing me no favors right now. This is great. All right, so this is the chunk I'm gonna throw in there. And this is, like I said, it's a lot of ginger, but this Vitamix is gonna go ahead and take care of all of that. All right, I'm gonna throw this in and I'm gonna put some ice in. Now, I don't have a recipe for this. I eyeball the whole thing. It's about texture and flavor. So, if I blend it all up and I feel like it needs something else, I'll put something else in. You could do the same. Let's just put some ice in. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna pour it out of the bag. Now, I'm gonna go for some yogurt. I would imagine that this will be enough, but maybe I'll need more. I don't know. I like it to have the full fat because I want it to have almost more of the ice cream kind of texture. So let's see what we can do here. Visually, it looks like I might need another little container of it, but we'll see because we have yet to put the organic blueberries in. These are the little tiny wild ones. Let's see if they're gonna be any good. Honey is very sweet. I like to put a little bit in, but the thing about the honey is if you put it in something really cold, it starts to clump together. So I'm gonna probably put this in towards the end. All right, let's check it out. Okay, we're gonna pulse it for a second and see how it goes. It probably still needs more, but I could taste it now and see. Let's see how it is. It needs to blend more. Why? Why are you yelling at me this way? I am doing everything to make this easy for you. You're a Vitamix. You should be able to get through this. What is wrong? It says no. Well, I can't imagine that ice and blueberries are a problem for a normal blender, but today in this episode, we have an angry blender that does not appreciate ice cubes and blueberries and ginger. Maybe it's the ginger, I don't know. If you really needed to, you could put some water in it, which I don't, oh, actually I do have some water. Beautiful, check this out. This could have made this go much smoother. I don't know. Let's see if it does. And now if it's too thin, I quit. So far, so bad. Have you ever seen someone struggle so much to make a simple smoothie? I don't think I have. Let's see if this is any good. All right, here we go. So far, the texture is better. It could be a little bit smoother, but let's see. It's like an ice cream smoothie. I like it. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and put some of it in this glass here and watch how easily this does not pour. See? This is success. Here we go. It's ice cream smoothie, which actually I prefer, honestly. It's like a dessert. I only have one spoon here, so this honey situation is getting even worse. This is gonna be too much. Let's turn it. Oh, yeah, come on. That's all I need, that's too much. And somebody else is gonna love that little bit. You'll have ants here in no time. Like I said, you put honey in something cold and it clumps up, and then it's too much. So this is success all the way around. It's clumpy and not smooth like a smoothie at all. So when you make this at home, don't follow my instructions. But if you like the sound of the Enzo preset, you could follow those instructions. I'm just gonna have a little taste here, and then I'm gonna go somewhere else. Too much honey. Follow my ingredients and recipe for this smoothie, and it takes much longer than the actual thing I prepared audio-wise. So just have a good time, everybody. I know I did. I'm gonna have some more of this. I'll see you later. Okay, the honey's all stuck right there. Perfect.